everyone, my name is Molly and today I am here to tell you about all the books I read this summer. I know at the moment it is currently October, but October, September, and then it's summer, so like, you know, it's close. And I haven't had time to film it otherwise, but I wanted to tell you guys about it. So today I'm here to tell you about all the books that I read in the months of June, July, and August. Now I'm here to talk to you guys because I finally have time to film a video, even though I have like 3 tests tomorrow. Good, okay, so let's just dive right in and get started. The first book I finished in the month of June was Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, I think his name is. So I actually read this book for school, but I counted it as like reading in general because I read a lot of it at home. So it took up reading time, so I counted it as a book that I read, and I strongly disliked it, is how we're gonna put that. I really didn't enjoy it. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I'm not the biggest fan of classics, and this just fell into that category again. I found Holden, I think his name was, really whiny and annoying as a character, and because the book was so character driven, I could not appreciate it very much. That's just my opinion. I don't hate on people that like classics. I wish I liked classics, but I just don't. So yeah, this was not a good read for me, but I passed the test, so. The next book that I read for pleasure I actually got while I was at BookCon, and that is Wild Embers by Nikita Gill. This is a poetry collection and it's very short, so I read it very quickly, and I tabbed my way through. Can you see the tabs? There they are. So I tabbed my way through on all of my favorite poems. I do this in all the poetry books that I read. I just love to be able to go back quickly and, you know, pick out a poem that I really liked, things like that. So this is a poetry collection a lot about empowerment. This says Poems of Rebellion, Fire, and Beauty, which is basically what it was, and I enjoyed it. This was a book that I accidentally got at BookCon. I didn't mean to get on this line, and then I did, and then I met the author and she was really nice, and then I read her book and it was really good. So it all worked out in the end. If you guys like poetry, if you're looking for something empowering, I would highly recommend picking this book up. So during the summer, my family and I went on this huge West Coast trip. So we did California, Oregon, and Washington. We were gone for 2 weeks, so it was a lot of driving in 2 weeks to cover the whole coast, but we managed to do it, and it was so much fun. And because we were so busy, I didn't get as much reading as I thought I was going to done, but I did get some books. So this was the first one I read when we first got to California. On the plane ride there and on our first initial car ride, I managed to finish Open Road Summer by Emery Lord, the author of When We Collided. So I've read When We Collided, I liked it, but I liked this book better. It was so much fun to read. I really liked the main character. She was kind of a hard ass and just like not very good with feelings, but it was a lot of fun to read, and then the guy was pretty romantic, which is always fun. In this book, they go on a road trip because the girl's best friend is a crazy big-time country singer, even at 16 or 17 or however old they were. This book is about the romance that blossoms between the singer's best friend and one of the opening acts. That's all I'll tell you because it's a lot of fun to read, but there's just something magical about reading about a road trip book while you're on a road trip. It's just amazing, and I loved it, and it was a great little summery contemporary to read, and if you like that kind of stuff, I recommend picking this book up. Whew. So the next book I read was one that I got at BookCon. It was the one book from BookCon that I wanted, and I got it, and it was Escaping from Houdini by Kerri Maniscalco. For those of you who don't know, this is the 3rd book in the, I think it's quartet series of Stalking Jack the Ripper, which I've loved. Stalking Jack the Ripper and Hunting Prince Dracula. Like, I love those books so much, guys, and so I got Escaping from Houdini, and of course I had to read it, and I was like crazy reading this in the car. I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? My sister was like, are you okay? I was not, but that's beside the point. So for those of you who don't know, Stalking Jack the Ripper is a great book and you should read it, but it's about a girl named Audrey who is her uncle's, who is a coroner, his assistant. And so she ends up working along with a handsome young fellow named Thomas Cresswell on the Jack the Ripper case. Basically what Carrie does throughout the series is she takes unsolved murders or historical events and she solves them using her characters, and it's so much fun to read. I loved the first book. I love the second book even more. Escaping from Houdini was probably my least favorite out of the 3 so far, but like, it wasn't bad. I still absolutely loved it, but I just think the other 2 were a little bit better. This was also an ARC, and I heard that the ending did get changed in the finished copy, so I'm gonna have to go out and buy that and see how it compares. But the ARC itself was very good and kept me so riveted, but the only thing that bothered me is the main character, Audrey, who is usually our smart character, made some pretty bad decisions. She trusted the wrong people, she hurt people she loved, and it was really, really pissing me off. And so it made it a little hard to read at times. I didn't think we needed all that drama. I didn't think it was necessary. There was enough drama going on. But if you're reading the series, definitely continue on. It's not bad enough that like you should stop reading the series or anything. It's still great. And if you haven't started the series, you should get on that because it's amazing. The next book that I read was kind of a weird one. I also read it on vacation. At this point, we were in Washington, and I read Save Me by Jenny Elliott. Now, like I said, this was a weird book. I initially bought it because it has to do with whales. I really like whales. They're my favorite animal, and I was really interested. I'll just read you the tagline. Witches, whales, and a forbidden soulmate. Even her guardian angel might have trouble saving Kara. And so I had to buy it, and I did. And I really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. Like, it was a lot of fun. Very weird, very odd, but a lot of fun. So if you're into that, and if you're into good books and don't mind a little weirdness along the way, go for it. The next book was one I read for school for my summer work. Lovely. And it was Into Great Silence by Eva Solitis. This is a memoir. I had to read a memoir of my choosing. I actually bought this while we were in Washington and read it on the plane ride home. It is about a scientist named Eva who studies the Chugach resident killer whales. Orcas, for those of you who don't know, are in a dire situation right now and need all the help they can get. They're not so slowly going extinct. And so this book just details the time that she spent and how she's seen the population change, and it was enjoyable, definitely more enjoyable than any other memoir I probably could have picked. And it was very informative, and I enjoy reading about this stuff, so if you're interested in that, go pick this up. It was a great memoir, but it is a little sciencey, so just be aware of that if you guys aren't totally into that. And the final book I read in the month of August, I believe, Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. Be proud of me, guys. I read a second book, finally. So I read The Darkest Minds about 2 years ago now, and I just never picked up the second book because I was having issues with the beginning. I was bored. But one day I sat down at work and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read it. So I got the ebook and I read it, and it was a lot of fun. Like, I got really into it towards the end, and then I haven't read In the Afterlight since, but I will. I did really end up enjoying this book. I still like The Darkest Minds more, but I'm always partial to first books, so that might be why. This was enjoyable. I would recommend pushing past the first 100 pages, because that's where it was keeping me back. Once I got past those, I had a great time reading it, and I can't wait to read In the Afterlight. So that's it for the books I read in the summer months. Let me know what you guys have been up to. What have you been reading? What have you been doing with yourselves? I want to hear it all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!